Anyway, hope everybody's doing good today. Just getting the stream set up, getting everything lined up the way it's supposed to be. I think we're working now. All right. Well, today is a really interesting and fun day, everyone, because I am trying 10 different Four Roses, single barrel, barrel strength, barrel picks, private selections, whatever you want to call them. But the unique thing about this particular run is that it's made up of entirely, we'll see if I can't make this thing focus. Probably not. I don't know why this webcam is so bad at that kind of focusing. Anyway, it's all made up of the PS-27-6 lineup. And part of these, tastings and figuring out what you're trying is doing a little bit of research. It's pretty hard to do research on things like this because it's such a niche area. It's such a specific question. You can look up on Google, like, where are the warehouses or which warehouses are the best until the cows come home, and you're not going to find good information. Your best bet is to go to a Facebook forum, a Reddit forum, some place where people are having these open conversations about it. And even then, it can be kind of difficult. I've had to kind of scour the internet a little bit because I am not a specialist in Four Roses, I guess is what I would call it. I do this channel, The Drink Pro, and I do like to think of myself as a professional in drinking, but there's sort of a difference between being a professional and maybe being like a specialist or even like an academic. There are people that get so narrow in their specialty that they are just absolutely brilliant on one subject, but it doesn't always translate to the real world. I always think of professional as somebody who can have a conversation both with the people that are most knowledgeable on the subject and your average Joe who wants to learn more about the area. So for me, being a professional is bouncing between those two worlds, but it does mean that sometimes I'm in over my head, and tonight is very likely one of those nights. So let me give you a little bit of a background about what's going on. This month is the Four Roses month, basically just because 4 and Four Roses, 4 in April. So I decided every Thursday this month, I'm going to do a different live stream involving Four Roses. So next week's live stream, I'm going to be doing all 10 recipes, assuming I can find a sample of OESF before then. I should be able to, but we'll see. You never know. I got to believe somebody out there's got an OESF for me to try. The week after that is going to be a series of incredible, all of these limited edition runs from Four Roses, including the Al Young. Shout out to Gregory Lane. Greg helped me out and gave me a sample of the Al Young, a very, very sought after pour from Four Roses. So that will become one of many rare, delicious, interesting pours that is going to be part of the tasting. That's in 2 weeks. I'm having some interesting problems with the stream. It's looking kind of crappy, and I don't really know what's going on. Let me go to my stream health for a minute. It thinks it's okay. Well, I hope you guys can hear and see me all right. If not, let me know, and I'll work on it and try to get it working better. That's always the risk with these kinds of things. You never know if it's going to actually do what you tell it to and what you want it to. I'm going to turn my volume up just a little bit. Phone Doctor 123, hello all, hit that like button, much appreciated. Hit that subscribe bell as well and get those notifications. But yeah, the PS27 series is an interesting series. Let me grab really quickly. Well, I seem to have lost what I was looking for, but so people who are in the know on the Four Roses, which again, I am not one of those people. Shout out to Andrew for helping me out with this, and a couple other people who I reached out to, but I got some better information now about Four Roses and these lines. For those of you who don't know, there's letters on the bottle of Four Roses. I'll try to go all the different directions. So, a lot of people are familiar with Four Roses, single barrel, barrel strength, and it's going to have, a sticker and some information about the mash bill. The mash bill will tell you, first off, O and S are pretty much useless in terms of information, but the second letter is going to tell you if it's a low rye or high rye mash bill. And the last letter is the yeast strain. There are 5 different yeast strains. Each one has a very specific flavor profile. They give you these nice little cards, which again, my camera stupidly can't focus on. But you have the delicate fruitiness, the slight spice, the fruity and creamy or rich fruitiness, a floral essence, and an herbal essence. Those are your 5 different yeast strains. And again, the E mash bill, which is the one we're going to be doing all of today, is the 75% corn, 20% rye, 5% malted barley. So it is the low rye mash bill, which is a good thing for me. I tend to like lower rye mash bills. I'm just holding this. Oh, that's why I'm holding this. So I'm holding this because there's all kinds of great information on the front of these bottles. Obviously over here you're going to have the proof point, so tell you the percentage of alcohol, but then right there you're going to get the warehouse. Now, much like the ones we have here that I have samples of just below, this is from warehouse PS. It's warehouse P on the south side. The next pieces of information, you get a number. That number is the rick that the barrels are being pulled from. They number them 1 through whatever. And so this is from Rick 37. All the pours today are from Rick 27. And then the last 2 pieces of information are maybe the most important for understanding certain elements would be the tier. Now, in every Rick, there are 6 different tiers. So a barrel can be on the lowest floor or the highest floor, essentially. All the ones, again, today are going to be tier 6, the highest floor. And what you'll see from that is hotter temperatures, which means more condensation, which means higher proof. Not always, but typically. You'll also tend to see oakier pours, stronger pours coming out of tier 6s. And they become rather popular, especially when there are other elements of the mash bill that are rarer, or if it's from a specific location like the ones today that has some clout to it. You can learn a lot about what your preferences are if you start to really hone in on specific types of Four Roses, be it warehouses, be it tiers, be it recipes. Part of what has given Four Roses such clout in this, single barrel game is that kind of information, that people who really care about it and really track it can, get a sense of what they're looking for, what they like, what they don't like, and be choosy with their single barrel bourbon, which is a nice thing to be able to do if you can get your hands on it, which is a whole other problem. So, lots of preamble. I should probably have water in here. I'm going to need it. But the fun thing with these pours, and if you look below in the video, down in the description box, I have every single pour listed. I have the proof. I have the location. I have the person who picked it, the private selectant. And then I've got something else. Oh, no. Proof. Did I say proof? I don't know. I've got 4 pieces of information down there. Oh, the age. I've got the age. These are all between 11 and 11 and a half, 11 years. They're 11 years old. Some are closer to 12. Some are closer to 10. But they're all 11 years old. Chat's going good. I've been blathering on. I am going to be drinking the whole family, Trevor. You're totally right, man. Yeah, these are going to be fun barrel strengths. Glad to hear, Black Bourbon family. Welcome, welcome, and glad to hear it looks good on your end. Mark says good evening. Good evening, Mark. Good evening, Nate. What up, Bourbon Baller? We got Jack and Trev in the chat as well. Good to see everybody. I already shouted out Phone Doctor. Nate says, I'm joining in the OESV Mashville drinking Warehouse PS or P5, barrel 373I. Matter of fact, Nate, I believe that I've got a sample of that from you. And depending on how things go here, I might start digging into this. So we will see. Jack has a great question. Is barrel strength... Sorry, my eyes are bothering me tonight, guys. Jack's great question. Is barrel strength commonly available or is it allocated? It is not commonly available. Usually the barrel strength are going to be selections by stores. So unlike something like Buffalo Trace, where you're going to see Buffalo Trace on the shelf, but then you also might see a Buffalo Trace store pick, and the regular Buffalo Trace is allocated, and the store pick is going to be, store to store. I don't think there are Four Roses single barrel strengths that aren't store picks. Now, they do have ones that are picked by the master distiller that you can get at the gift shop. But I think pretty much all of the other Four Roses single barrel strengths are private selections. So I hope that answers your question, Jack. But so today, we're just digging into a very narrow subset of the Four Roses mash bill. And I talked about this, not mash bill, but their product line, rather, is what I mean. I talked about this before. Next week, assuming I can find an OESF, I want to try one pour from every one of the 10 recipes. I'm going to do my best to sort of have some kind of relationship to tiers, but I don't think that's really going to be possible. Unfortunately, I don't have a large collection of Four Roses products. If you have a Four Roses product that is, you think would fit well into the lineup, hit me up, let me know. I'm available at thedrinkpro.com and all over the place, everywhere else. Jack had a store pick from a hotel in Louisville a couple weeks ago. He forgot about it. Don't forget about it, Jack. Pour it, man. Let me grab this water over here. I'm already spilling water myself, and I haven't had a drop to drink. That's a good start. Okay. So, also, some of you who have been watching me the last couple of weeks might have noticed that my mustache has been curled again. It's usually just my laziness that has prevented me from doing it, but part of the problem is if you get out of a habit, it gets a little finicky. And I don't know if you guys can see this, but these parts right here start to drip down when they shouldn't. Jack's got an OBSF warehouse T on the south side, barrel F from the second Rick house tier and the 29th Rick. A lot of information. All right, so let's go ahead and dig into this a little bit, guys. It doesn't really matter from what I can tell where I'm starting because they're all so damn similar. So I'm just going to start with, the Bourbon Crusaders pick. This is PS-27-6A, 126.6 proof, 11 years, 7 months old. I do want to give the information that I've been kind of building up to and slacking off on, but I'm going to take a sniff of this first, and then we will go back to that. Well, the nose on this is really nice. So one of the things that I have heard is that this is a controversial run, the PS-27-6. So the PS-26 was often cited as sort of the prototypical OESV. Like, that's what OESV recipes are supposed to taste like, are the barrels that were coming out of the south side of the PE warehouse in Rick 26. So the 27th Rick, because obviously you're going to dump them one Rick at a time, or release them to the single barrel program one Rick at a time, the 27 were sort of highly anticipated. And because of that, or maybe in spite of it, they had some mixed feelings out there. People have cited them to me as being one of the spicier versions of the Four Roses OESV. Some people said that they're kind of like a hot mess, and some people have said that they're just like ideal spice bomb Four Roses flavors. Now, I don't typically love a super spicy whiskey, so I am going to withhold judgment until I actually smell and taste it, but that did give me a little bit of pause. Oh, and by the way, just for people to get a sense of how sought after, some of the PS-26, the string, the Rick rather, before this run, those PS-26, there are some barrels that run up to $1,100 a bottle. I think the Friday the 13th barrel is considered to be one of the best barrels ever. And, that's getting really into the nuance. Like I said, thank goodness for a couple of people out there. Shout out Andrew for offering me great information. Great information that helped make this possible, or else I wouldn't really understand what the differences were and why they were so important in that level of minutia. It's pretty wild. So Jack has a standard 100 proofer, not a barrel strength. Bourbon Baller is lurking. He's putting a transmission in a truck. Putting in work, man. Yeah, for him, he's on the West Coast, so it's 5:45. He's still working. I'm off the clock. So this is kind of an interesting nose on this already. One thing I haven't really talked about is that there are the 12 different mash bills, and again, I know this won't focus, but on a lot of these bottles, I think if not all of these bottles, they have this little card that has the 10 different recipes, and it'll tell you different, like, very general flavor notes for the recipes. And the OESV, which is what this lineup is, it lists as delicate, fruity, fresh, and creamy. Delicate, fruity, fresh, and creamy. So, we'll see if I agree with that or not. I will say on the nose, I definitely get the fruitiness and the creaminess. But I also definitely get that spiciness. You can tell it's the tier 6. It's definitely sharp. Now, one of the difficulties of doing this in a live stream is that if I really wanted to give just beautiful, gorgeous tasting notes and nosing notes, I would probably sit there for 30 minutes on each pour and just think and write and scratch out and rethink and rewrite and scratch out and just agonize over it. But can't do that here. I don't want to do a 6-hour stream. You guys don't want to watch me sit here and think about it for 10 minutes without saying anything. So just take that for what it is going to be. It's not going to be those kind of notes, but I'll give you the best notes I can. People who have been here for a while know what kind of notes I'm going to give, but now this one has almost a sourness to it. I really like it, but it's almost got a sourness. Hold on. Yeah, it's like sour apples. Oof. It's almost like green grapes and sour apples and maybe like moldy blueberries, like slightly rotten blueberries. But the spice is very prominent on this, even with all those fruit notes. I'm drawn to the fruit notes because I like them, but they are not the primary note. The primary note on this is definitely like cinnamon sticks and barrel spice. Because it's not high rye, I don't get a lot of that rye out of it, but there's barrel spice in there for sure. So I'm going to go ahead and smell each one and taste each one and maybe go back down and mix and match after a while. But I'm at least going to start the video smelling each one, tasting each one, giving some notes on it. I just think that's the best way to handle this process. So let's dig in. Cheers. Cheers. Now that's my first taste of whiskey all day. And boy, this is 126.6 proof. So it's no joke. No joke on the proof. I don't like proof. I much prefer percentages because I can think about what that means. 126.6 proof is 63.3% alcohol. Just for perspective. And all of these are over 60. All these are over 60. Yeah, these are some pretty hot boys. Which, like I said, is what I've been told already about this lineup. This lineup was known for being, this Rick from the south side of the P warehouse was known for being hot. They are big, strong, bold OESVs. This one is pretty oaky on the palate, at least on the first taste. Interesting. So, I'm very sensitive to oak. I'm very sensitive to that dry astringency. And this one has some of that, but the sweetness and the fruit notes do still come through. So you get this honey quality, this almost a cherry quality, and then you sort of finish with that meaningful, deep, slightly dry oak. Jack got started early with the Naptown Bourbon Club's Sagamore tasting, so cheers to him. All right, let's go again. Yeah, I think for me, this one just really lives in that woody place. And a lot of these might, because they are sort of known for being controversial and being very hot. But that one doesn't drink particularly hot to me. It's just very oaky. You have to like an oaky bourbon. And I've always kind of felt that way about the Tier 6 warehouse pours, just because Tier 6 usually means the top of the warehouse, so it's going to be, well, it does mean it's the top of the rick house. So it's going to be hotter, probably. It's definitely going to be hotter. It's probably going to be a hotter pour as well, though. It certainly is going to have more interaction with the wood than the whiskey that's in the barrels on the first tier of the rick house. I like floor. I know they're tiers, whatever. It's the first floor. All right, let's dig in here to the second pour. This is from Spec's 11 years and 5 months, so only 2 months younger. Now, this is not a sister barrel. This is barrel C. So there was a barrel in between this one and the first one. Now, on the nose, whoa. Wow. On the nose, this one's a lot less fruity. I mean, there's definitely still some fruit there, but like side-by-siding it, that first one, the Bourbon Crusaders pick is a lot more sharply sweet, sharply fruity. It gives me real... honestly, it gives me Dickel vibes. Like, a lot of people don't like the vitamin minerality of Dickel, but if you can get past that vitamin minerality, it's sickly sweet fruit. It just also comes with that minerality, so you gotta be able to get past it. This one, however, is a lot more in sort of what I'd call a quote-unquote traditional bourbon category. And by that I mean it's very sweet, honey, caramel. This one I get a lot more of the sort of a blueberry. The berries are more prominent. Maybe even a raspberry. The berries are a lot more prominent in C. Whereas in A, it's definitely that green apple, that sour fruit vibe. And you know, I was thinking about this. Getting some Dickel hate in the chat. I was thinking about this. I'm wondering if these are going to get more and more mellow as I get into the rick, or into the tier on the rick, because, you know, so much about how the heat rotates throughout a rick house is based on, like, the outside being the hotter spots and the inside being less hot. So I don't know how they number and how they organize their ricks, but if I assume that A is the furthest barrel out towards the edge, then I would think it would be hotter and more oaky and more astringent and a higher proof. Obviously, we're talking about real minutiae here. We're talking about barrel to barrel to barrel, not rick to rick, not warehouse to warehouse, not even tier to tier. But I would still expect there to be a slight variation that was monitorable, where you can really see how much variation there is from barrel to barrel, likely leading to a decrease in that heat. A lot of hate for Dickel in the chat. But yeah, I actually really like the nose on this. The nose on this is just lovely. You know, one of the notes that they talk about with OESV is creamy. To me, this definitely has like strawberries and cream vibes. It's berries, it's cream, got that honey. Ooh, I get some nutmeg too. This one definitely doesn't have as much barrel spice either as A. Yeah. Yeah, A's got all that heat, all that barrel spice, the sharpness, almost the sourness. Man, my eyes are bothering me. Stupid eyeballs. Stare at the camera. You can see my eyes. Watch some sort of water up. Oh, it hurts. Oh, this is me sober, guys. All right, let's dig into it. Let's give it a taste. I really like the nose. Oh, I could smell this all day, though, for real. Okay, here we go. Again, tier 6, no joking heat. High proof, very oaky. Ooh, a lot longer finish than the first one. And more pepper, like hot pepper. The first one was very dry, tannic, and prominent oak. This one certainly still has a prominent oak, but I get a lot more of like a hot habanero, serrano, chili pepper, something with some actual capsaicin, some heat. That finishes with heat and oak. Not nearly as dry as A. Yeah. Here's the thing, though, is it's got a lot more bitter going on in the mid palate. You know, I talked about how I feel like you can get a lot more heat and oakiness out of the tier 6 pours. This one, for me, kind of exemplifies some of the problems with tier 6 in the mid palate. Because a lot of times for me with tier 6 and with just hot pours in general, I get like a really nice sweetness up front and then this bitter, unpleasant mid palate, and then the finish will be oaky. Sometimes astringent, sometimes sweet, sometimes good, sometimes not, but at the very least, it's going to be a prominent oak flavor. But that bitterness just is tough to deal with. Yeah, and see, the dry tannic notes on that first pour make it not feel bitter. It just feels like oaky. Whereas the lack of a dry tannic oak on the second pour here, which I keep it called C, I'm just going to call them by their barrel letters, the Spec's pick. Yeah, beautiful front of this. Sweet, almost floral even, maybe. Slightly. But definitely got that sweet, creamy, fruity. Ooh, that was fun. So I got some fruit there in the finish that kind of came back after that weird, unfortunately bitter mid palate. Justin Gibson, what's up, man? He said, hello again, old friend. No idea what you're talking about, but happy to watch regardless. Maybe I'll pick something up besides this damn beer. You definitely should, man. Pick up some Four Roses. This is a Four Roses day. For any newcomers, I am going through 10 different samples of Four Roses, but they're not just any Four Roses. First off, they're Four Roses single barrels that have been privately selected by organizations and liquor stores, but they're also all from a very specific place in the warehouse, the PS 27-6, which means it's the south side of warehouse P. It's the 27th rick in the warehouse, which is the actual device that holds the barrels, and it's on the 6th tier, the 6th floor of that rick. So it's a very specific location, and all of these barrels from different places in the country, from different people throughout the world, picked these barrels independently, and my buddy Victor, big shout out to Victor, brought these together and let me sample his wares. Some of these barrels, spend 11 years next to each other, only to be distributed throughout the country and then to be brought back together. I think that's a really cool thing. They're all very high proof too, which is always fun. All right, let's move in here to D. Now D is 11 years and 7 months, just like A. Dorignac's is 126.2 proof. So this is very similar in proof to the first one. This is a lot like the first one, at least on paper. It's only 0.3 proof different, 0.15% alcohol different. Same exact age to the month, same recipe, obviously, same location, obviously 3 barrels apart. So, ooh, okay. So the first one was definitely like green apple citrus. The second one gave me a little bit more sweetness. Now I'm starting to get like an herbal floral note. Yeah, I'm starting to get some herbs on C. But D here, it is really deeply strawberry. Like, to me, that is strawberries. like a fresh patch. Justin said, I definitely maybe will. I just picked up some sweet shine, moonshine, mashed in with pure cane sugar. Damn good stuff. Justin gonna get fucked up today. Nate is heading to Four Roses tomorrow. Maybe get lucky and find a distillery release. I hope so, man. Jack was there 3 weeks ago. Didn't have anything that he was looking for. Oh well. That's why we fight. That's why we keep hunting. Stupid mustache. Keep falling down on me. Need more wax. Stronger wax, really. Actually, just gotta get in the habit of doing it every day. It learns. And you can see that I have not trained it well. Go back up there, you little fucker. Okay. Yeah, this is... Oh. Yeah, this one is just really strawberry for me. Ooh, I think this one, honestly... I think on the nose... Yeah. Yeah, this Barrel D on the nose, I get the most wood out of any of them. On the nose. I don't know how the taste will be, but this is definitely the oakiest nose of the three thus far. Now, it's not sharp. It's not tannic. It's just like wood. It's just oaky. Nate asked a good question. He said, so this experiment will go to show that where the wood came from to make a barrel, the soil and the environment the tree grew up in can impact a whiskey more than maybe we realize. I think we realize that it impacts a whiskey, and we may even realize it impacts them a lot. It's just not something that's been controlled for very much. Buffalo Trace is actually doing a significant experiment to try to control that, where they are growing their own forests. Basically, and they're going to use specific kinds of wood from specific environments to try to make barrels out of and see how that affects the exact same whiskey. So that's a 30-year project, I believe they were saying. Last time I heard Harlan Wheatley speak about the Buffalo Trace goings on, but we know it affects the whiskey a lot. We might just not be able to control it very well. Keep getting it in my mustache. I'm sure that's not going to help my wax. That's okay. Interesting. Ooh. Now that, first off, on the palate, it's the sweetest yet. It's got a significant, sharp, like cane sugar sweetness. It's also got the most barrel spice, like black pepper kind of spice on the palate and the finish in particular. It's really nice. Now, see, this is probably the least bitter for me, which is really interesting because, you know, I talked about early on how the nose was the most oaky. So I was sort of prepping myself for this to be the most bitter, the most tannic, the most oaky. It's got a lot of oak flavors. It's got a lot of wood flavors, but they're a lot more like bog, wet wood, not dry wood, not tannic wood, not sawdust. This is like much more like you opened up a barrel and licked a wet barrel stave. Tab25 in the chat. What's up, man? He says, when are you going to taste that double gold winning OBSK Crown Pick? Great question. Well, I could do it right now, or after I'm done with all these OESVs, but I do think it could be a fun one to throw in against the round robin I'm going to be doing next week, where I'm tasting something from each recipe, because I feel like that'd be a good experiment to show that no matter what the recipe is, some picks are just really good. Because I think people get obsessed with recipes being different. And, you know, I will kind of be able to highlight that, yes, these recipes are different by doing that experiment. But, you know, highlighting that this OBSK versus this other OBSK, the difference is very stark. I mean, what I'm doing right now is super narrow. We're getting into the tiniest of tiny narrow margins with, you know, just barrels that were right next to each other in the warehouse. But, you know, getting a, like Tab 25 said, the double gold winning OBSK pick, that can throw a wrench in all kinds of things. Or the other option is I could throw that one in among all of the rare Four Roses picks I'm going to be trying 2 weeks from today, where I will be bringing out the Al Young and some of the limited runs, I think from 2012 forward. I think I got one from every year, from 2012 into 2020. So, should be a fun time. But it can fit in a lot of different places, Tab 25. Let me know where you want to see it. You gave it to me. All right, another taste of this one. Another taste of Barrel D. Oh, yeah. Barrel D is my favorite so far. Going back and comparing it to A, and then again to C here. Yeah, so C really has this sort of transition. It goes directly from super sweet and something I really like into this like bitter oak. A is really nice, but it's a little too tannic for me. D here, though, I think it's my favorite one yet. It's a lot more balanced. It doesn't have the bitterness or the dryness. It's very oaky. They're all very oaky because of the location. But I do think that this one feels more like a balanced pour. Let's move to the Barrel E. Now, if you guys haven't noticed, the last three have been literally next to each other. All three of them sat next to each other in the warehouse for at least 11 years of life. B was 11 years, 5 months. I'm sorry, C was 11 years, 5 months. D was 11 years, 7 months. E is 11 years, 8 months. It's 128 proof, 64%. For those of you playing the home game. Tab 25 says, I think it would be interesting with the limited picks what SF thought was a double gold pick versus what Master Distillers thought. I think it's a good idea, Tab 25. That is where I will put it. Cheers. Oh boy, okay. Now this one's different. I mean, you know, relatively. They're all Four Roses. They're all OESV. They're all 6-tier. They're all South P. You get it. You get it. You get it. This one, I get very little fruit on the nose. It's very cinnamon. It's very like baking spice. Maybe some nutmeg and some ginger. Get some heat from like that ginger or allspice, a Jamaican allspice. It's sweet and stings the nostrils. If there's any fruit in this, it's like a lemon. It might be like lemon and yeah, there is some lemon in there. I think there is a fruit note. But like when you first smell it, it just smells like big, bold, sweet baking spice and then oak on top or underneath or something. Or an oak. It's like you put like a cinnamon what would it be? It's like honey and cinnamon in a dessert that then put into a wooden box for storage for safekeeping. I don't know. Akeem the Dream is in here. Smell that shit. Tell me about that cinnamon. I got you, bro. I got you. Oh, there's a baking spice in this that I can't quite identify, and it's going to drive me bonkers. It's clove. It's clove. This has got sweet clove. And I'm starting to get, see, the fruit's coming. The more you sit there and spend time with it, sometimes notes will start to appear that weren't there initially. You got to sit there and nose a whiskey for a while to really get all the notes out of it. And now, and I find this a lot, now I'm starting to get the combination of this cinnamon with the clove, and the citrus starts to come into play, and it becomes very Christmassy. It becomes very, there's a term for the thing, and I always forget what it is, but it's an orange with cloves in it. Ooh, this thing is getting almost meaty now. There's like an umami to it. What is happening? Maybe it's like a nuttiness, like a cinnamon walnut bread. It's got this deep, rich sweetness. You know, it's interesting because all these sweetnesses are different. I've gotten honey sweetness. I've got cane sugar sweetness. This is like deep, rich. It's what you expect from like a scotch, that deep, dark fruit sweetness. That's crazy. Almost like a molasses, maybe even. All right, let's taste it. Ooh. Ooh. I don't know about that. I don't know about that, boys. Ooh. I'm gonna take a drink of water. Akeem is jealous of the lineup. Yeah, that one. Let's just try it again. I'm not gonna give any notes. Let me just try it again. That just hit wrong. Yeah, that's not my jam. Grapevine pick, not my jam. Which is a shame. I think it was my favorite one on the nose, honestly. Like, I think of all the ones I've tried, this was my favorite nose. But on the palate, it just kind of falls flat for me. There's not very much going on up front. Mid palate, you get the baking spice and a little bit of hint of sweetness. Finish is definitely hot spice, black pepper. Oaky, very black peppery, but it feels like it's missing a third act. It feels like there's just nothing when you first taste it, and then you get a mid palate, you get a finish, but it just kind of falls flat. Let me go back to barrel D here. This was the, I think this is the one I said was my favorite. Yeah. They're kind of like a tale of two cities, and both of those barrels are sisters. They're right next to each other, D and E. But my main criticism of D here, and I don't think it was a criticism before, I think it's only a criticism as a function of what I've tasted with E, the grapevine pour, is there's not a lot of back end to it. You get a lot of interesting sweetness and fruit, and a nice, slightly nutty mid palate. But you move to that grapevine pick, the front has none of that stuff, and then the finish is just kind of overpowering. There are a lot of people that I'm friends with who would love this pour, who'd be like, this is the best one yet. But, you know, different strokes for different folks, and big, strong finishes aren't usually my jam. So I'm going to give it one tiny more taste. We'll move on. Yeah, and I think the oakiness also, you know, it's got more dry oak than at least one or two of the last I've tried. Yeah, not my jam. Okay, let's do the, now this is Total Wine, a pretty well-known entity. The Total Wine pick. This is barrel F, so we've gone from C to D to E to F. So all these barrels are right next to each other in the rick. Literally, we had A, skip B, C, D, E, F. And we're going to go on to G, and then I got to jump a little bit. But it's pretty cool. You don't often get to try barrels right next to each other, especially when they don't stay next to each other. Bourbon Baller said, for me, a lot of the Four Roses lineup fall flat, so it's a love-hate relationship. I can see that. Four Roses has never been my favorite, to be quite honest with you, which I know is heresy for some people that are in this stream right now. Some people are just fanatics. They're devotees, I'll say, for the Four Roses single barrel strength lineup. Don't get me wrong, I think it's very good, but I do think that there's a lot of variation, so you have to know what you're getting, which is part of why I think this is a valuable exercise, understanding the nuance that exists even within such a narrow area. You know, the same rick, the same tier, the same warehouse, the same side of the warehouse. Like, that kind of narrowing is really valuable. Yes, you should pour some Four Roses, Akeem. Let's move to this total wine pick. This is F. It's 128.8 proof. 64.4. Oh. Now, this is the first one that's smelled. I knew it right away. This is the first one that smelled like some of the other high proof whiskey I've had. Looking for a bottle right now. Honestly, when I first put my nose into this, it's kind of like, it smells like some Old Carter that I've had. It smells like some Elijah Craig that I've had. This thing has got that high, sharp sweetness. And I really like the nose on this. This is sweet, sharp, fruity. I get a little bit of like pineapple on this, almost tropical fruit. Definitely getting cinnamon. Tons of cinnamon and barrel spice. Oh yeah, that's the good stuff. Citrus, like tangerine zest. Ugh. Sometimes I don't know if I'm making this stuff up or not. I don't think I am. I could breathe this. If you made like an O2 mask in my old age, I'm stuck with like the things up my nose and I just have to breathe this. If it smelled like this, I wouldn't be mad about it. I might sneeze a lot, but I wouldn't be mad about it. It smells like a freshly built desk. With like a bowl of fruit and a honeycomb on it. And some lavender. Oh, this is such a good one. Fuck. This one, worth noting, this one is 11 years and 11 months old. So this is the oldest pour. It's tied for the oldest pour. It's a three-way tie in the lineup for the oldest pour. This is the first one of the three that I'm trying that's almost 12 years old. Boy, this is just hitting different, though. It's also one of the highest proof, I believe. Well, maybe not. I lied. No, it's not. Let's taste it. Oh. Boy, this... You know, I think this might be coming from some of the same stock that I've gotten from Old Carter. I don't know where Old Carter's getting their sourcing, but this reminds me so much of some of the Old Carter bourbon I've had. Maybe even some of the Old Carter American, which I think is blended with some bourbon. But this just really reminds me of that. All right, let me give you some tasting notes, proper tasting notes. Here we go. Oh. Oh. That hits different. I gotta... Okay, so first off, there's a beautiful... It's like a corn syrup sweetness. It's not as complex as honey. Corn syrup sweetness. God, the finish on this one is forever, though. That finish just lingers. It's oaky up front, which I love. I love when they get the oak up front and not the back. And then you immediately get this beautiful corn syrup sweetness, a really nice, like, the floral, the lavender, man, I'm telling you, that's there. This sweet floral mid palate, end of the finish, which is like subtly, like very light caramel, and a very soft, like a white pepper, and it lingers for a long time, but it's not sharp. Like, this is an amazing pour. This is 128.8 proof. This is 64.4% alcohol. You would never in your life guess that that was the proof point on this. This is way unlike that. Let me turn off my vent here. I'm going to duck under the desk because it's getting hot. So it turns out my vent was already closed. So I don't know what I'm going to do about that. I may just start sweating like a preacher up here proselytizing about the Four Roses. Welcome to Whiskey Church. Whew.
Let me finish this scene and then I'll be done with the sewing machine and we can open this door.
Okay. Whiskey Church. Here we go. Aki, if I ever get to pick a barrel of Four Roses, it's for sure getting named Lavender Desk. Man, this one, guys, this fucking pour right here. I love it. I love when oak is up front. I don't understand the chemical reactions or the science behind it, but what I know is that when I drink a whiskey and the first thing I taste is oak, and then it immediately goes away, it's going to be a good whiskey. Because it just, for me, that means it's going to be complex. It's got the age on it. It's got that oakiness, but it doesn't linger. I don't particularly like a long oaky finish. I like long finishes that do other things, not usually oaky. Now, you can have exceptions. I think the first pour here is a long oaky finish, but it's not dry. It's not tannic. It's not particularly peppery. It's just like, this is the flavor of oak. I don't mind that, but that's very uncommon for me. Nate says, get this man a towel. And Jack says, it's getting hot in here. Don't want to say too much. Can't get those copyright strikes. Okay. Man, oh, that one. That Total Wine. Total Wine, you know what's up, bro. You know what you're doing. Total Wine knows what's up. Oh, we got another heavy hitter now. Liquor Barn. Now, I've talked about Liquor Barn not too long ago. No, that was a different one. Never mind. We'll just forget I said that. But Liquor Barn is a well-known, well-established liquor barn. Yeah, they sell liquor out of barns. Mostly old, historic red barns that have been painted and reconstructed. I think they own most of the historic barns in the United States, actually, are owned by the Liquor Barn. It's not true. None of that's true. All right, let's smell this thing. Oh boy, I still got a bunch to drink. Okay, let's smell this thing. Now, Now this is G. So we've had C, D, E, and F. This is the last one in our long series of barrels of whiskey next to each other. This one to me is kind of like generic spicy. I'm just smelling it against all of the other pours I've tried so far. Yeah, this is the most spicy on the nose. It's the hottest, but, you know, I've had a couple of ones that I mentioned were very hot, but they were also very citrusy, so it was more like a citrus stinging in my nose. This one is hot and oak and pepper. Literal, like this is like habanero pepper. You can even smell like the meat of the pepper, which smells a little sweet, a little citrusy, a little fruity. but it also brings the heat. Deep, deep oak, like the char comes through on the nose on this one. I do also think, and I mean it's hard to say, but I do believe the color on this is a bit darker than most. That could just be an optical illusion, but just, you know, looking back at these bottles, it does appear to be a tinge darker. But I'm colorblind, so I don't. I try not to give myself too much credit when it comes to coloring whiskeys. This one definitely has a molasses on it. This one definitely has got molasses sweetness. Thank you. Oh. Something on the mic. Okay. This one feels like you could breathe it in and like it's got like Vicks Vapo Rub vibes, like eucalyptus and burn, just right down to your face. Gotta be correcting the mustache. All right, let's taste this thing. I don't have high hopes for it, but let's taste it. This is not my favorite. It's very oak. I mean, this is probably the closest one to like tasting like it smells, honestly. This thing tastes like it smells. It tastes sweet up front, then you get spicy, then super duper oaked. Super duper oaked. What can I say? That's not usually my jam. It continues to not be my jam. It's fine, but I mean, the oak becomes a little bit more muted, but this one also kind of falls flat for me. It's just, oh yeah, and then the finish is hot pepper. Very hot pepper. It reminds me of eating a habanero again. Yeah, I mean, this one's true to the nose. It really is. Very peppery, hot peppery and black peppery. Very oaky. Yeah. It just goes wood too quick. Like, you gotta warm me up first. You can't give me the hard wood right away. Not my favorite. Now we're doing cheers. I want this thing to focus so goddamn badly. I just want this camera to learn to focus on something other than my face. Like, does it just legit not have autofocus? Like, why? Why? Why won't you focus? Problem for another day. Bourbon Baller, triple X rated channel. Alright. Let's go to the cheers pick. It is 11 years and 9 months, so a wee bit younger and a wee bit lower proof than the last couple I've been going through. This is 127.6, and it's also down the line a bit. So G is A, B, C, D, E, F, G. 7. So, that's the 7th. So I had the 1st, the 3rd, the 4th, the 5th, the 6th, the 7th. Now I'm jumping all the way to K. B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K. 11th. On the 11th. We get the 11th and the 13th here. Then we jump down even further in the alphabet. But let's just take it one step at a time. So, K... 127.6, it's cheers. It's 11 years and 9 months old. I actually misspoke before. The one I did not like from Liquor Barn was also 11 years and 9 months old. But this is lower proof, 127.6 compared to 129. All right. Ooh, okay. Creme Brulee. Creme Brulee. Woo, I'm making a mess already. This is like creme brulee and walnuts. And green apple Jolly Ranchers. Now that's all I can smell is green apple Jolly Ranchers. This is beautifully sweet, though. I mean, I'm really digging where this is heading. There's something else, though. What am I missing? Oh, I gotta just really live in the whiskey. Let me just put myself into the whiskey. Get ready to live the whiskey. Okay, here we go. Live in the whiskey. You are not helping me focus, dog. I'm trying to live the whiskey over here. She doesn't get it.
Come on, leave that alone. He's busy.
Okay. I don't know what I get from Ted Danson, Akeem, but I'll take it. If I can be half as talented as Ted Danson, then I'm doing something right. Okay. What am I looking for today? I feel like there's something I'm missing on this, but I can't pin it down, so I'm just going to go ahead and taste it. Now that's what you want from a whiskey that's going to be spicy. When I say spicy, and I mean it as a good thing, that's what I'm fucking talking about. It's not over oaked. It's not kicking me in the face. It's got a lot of pepper, black pepper, and hot pepper, but they're well balanced and they linger without hurting you. I don't need a whiskey to teach me a lesson. I don't need a whiskey to put me in a chokehold and wait till I say, Daddy, stop. I need a whiskey that is going to give me just the right amount of pain, and that's what that is. So, cheers to cheers. Sweet, caramel, creme brulee. There was something else, but then immediately over into... not a bitterness, a nuttiness. They are different. Black walnut can be kind of bitter, but it can also be this sort of nice, and then like dark chocolate. There's a bitterness to it, but it's not a bad bitterness. A lot of the bitternesses can be sharp and unpleasant, but this is a nice bitterness. Very quickly over into an oakiness, and then that oakiness dissipates, and you get this lingering black pepper. If you like a complex pour, if complexity is number one on your list, this is the best pour yet tonight. This Cheers pour, 6K, definitely the most complex we've had yet. I am actually pretty surprised how easy it is for me to pull the differences between these pours. Maybe because I'm looking for them, maybe because I believe they're there, I don't know. But, I mean, you can tell that it's all at the margin, right? Like, I can tell that 95% of these whiskeys are the exact same flavors. But those little 5% variations stand out when you're really looking for them. It's sort of like... if you've heard a piece of music 1,000 times and you can change one note and you will freaking know, even if it's a subtle note, even if it's a background note, even if it's a drum pattern, something will feel wrong, taste wrong. I think that's what's happening here. Joe asked if Trevor's watching. I think he's in the chat. I don't know. All right. That's a good pour, guys. Like that. That's a good pour. I'm digging this one. Don't you want to go where everybody knows your name? Cheers. Yeah, you know, that's a fun pour. That's not usually the directions I would go. I feel like I gave the notes pretty good. It hasn't changed significantly to make me feel like I need to rerun through all those notes, but I don't usually like a pour that goes into those bitter chocolates and then comes back and gives me more oakiness and then goes to the pepper, but it's just hitting right tonight. It might be my favorite. I think Total Wine was my favorite before that. Let me taste the Total Wine again after trying the Cheers pour. Yeah, I think that Cheers pour might beat it. It might win. The Total Wine pour is nice because it's such a change of pace. It feels so different than everything else. But it's not robust. And I feel like if you're going for a 6-tier, 4 roses, single barrel at cask strength, you want robust. That's what you're doing that for. And while I really like what the Total Wine is doing, it doesn't feel like it's quite hitting the profile I would expect or want if I'm getting a tier 6. Now, I might have to tonight show you guys what a tier 1 looks like in comparison. So I've got a tier 1 of this same mash bill. I think it's actually from PS2. It's from the same warehouse, so we'll see. We'll see how the night goes. I mean, you might get that if you're good. Like a fucking dad talking to his kids. You might get that if I'm still sober enough to do it. That's more accurate. Let me know in the chat what you're drinking tonight. What are you guys drinking? What are you sipping on? Let me know. Let me hear it. I'm going to do calisthenics while I wait for it. Tell me in the chat. Put it in the chat. I'm going to point with my elbows. All right, I'm moving on to the Mahan. It's the 11-year, 11-month. Again, tied for the oldest with the Total Wine and one other. This is 129.2 proof, which I believe makes it the highest proof one that I've tried yet. It is. This is the highest proof one I've tried yet. It's barrel M, which means it's the 13th barrel in the Rick. I don't know how many barrels are in a Rick. I probably should know that, but I mean, given that they're using letters and they don't have space for double letters, I've never seen like a 1AA or whatever. Makes me think it's 26 or less. So this is probably at least halfway into the Rick. Okay, here we go. I don't know about this one, guys. It's very citrusy, but it's very it's citrusy in a kind of an uninteresting way. Very one-noted on the nose. It's very sharp, alcohol burn. Oh, there we go. Tab 25, I got to talk to you about the Foursquare, because I've got a Foursquare lineup coming. I'm going to do a Foursquare video, and I might need your expertise on it, so we should chat about that at some point. Akeem's got a Glen Garrock 21, Aldel. I'm just going to try to read all these and just fuck it all up, so... Yeah, Akeem's got some sweet-ass freaking whiskey in his house. He's going to go get the VNT 4 Roses. Give me some detail on that VNT 4 Roses, Akeem. I want to know what you're sipping on, my man. Phone Doctor is drinking his infinity bottle. Little round of applause for Phone Doctor. I am a big believer in infinity bottles. I think it's a great thing to do. Akeem says, dude, I have the Deton and it's excellent. Was thinking about picking up in 2007 or 2008. Yeah, Foursquare is catching on, man. A viewer reached out to me. I won't give his name out on this particular stream, but somebody reached out to me and is going to send me a series of Foursquare rums. And sounds like Akeem and I and Tab 25 and I may have to chat about those. So we'll make it work. We'll make it happen. None of us are too far away, so we'll figure it out. I'm going to get totally vaccinated by the end of this month, so I'm so excited for that, guys, for real. Justin says, turn autofocus on. I guess I'm out of focus. I actually can't really focus this camera. I don't know why. I don't know what's going on with this camera, but like, there is nothing for me to spin. You fucker. He's just messing with me. Okay. Well played, Justin. Well played, my man. Okay. Let me get into this Mahan. The nose is not impressing me. It's just very straightforward. It's citrus. It's more citrus. It's alcohol burn. It's citrus and hurt. That's all. Oh, I guess, okay, I guess there's a little bit of honey. But it's like that fake Popeyes chicken honey where it's just like half honey, half corn syrup. You know what? It kind of has a lot of Popeyes vibes. I get like the fake butter on a Popeyes biscuit. Maybe I'm just like in a Popeyes in my mind. It doesn't smell like fried chicken yet, though. I actually made, so I've got a music production set up here, and I've actually made a beat that's entirely the theme song from Popeyes. Love that chicken from Popeyes. I sliced that up, and I've made a beat out of it, so I'm going to rap over that at some point and release it to my patrons or something. So join the Patreon, patreon.com/thedrinkpro, and you can watch me rap over the chicken beat. Akeem just got the full vax. Nate's hating on Apple in the chat. I can't say I disagree with him on it, but... Okay, let's taste this fucker. Boring. Boring. Boo, boring. I mean, I don't like to speak ill of somebody who did a store pick, but I feel like these guys must have had some bad barrels in their selection, because this is not what I want at all. It's very monotone. It's very citrus. It doesn't even become oaky. It doesn't become oaky. It doesn't become sweet. It's just like fake honey and citrus, and then alcohol burn, and then it goes straight to like peanut shells or like bitter, like some sort of like walnut shell, like some sort of like nut shell, like the bitter part of a nut. That's, I'm going to taste it one more time, but I have not been feeling this one at all. Let's try the third and final here. Ugh, no. Why? That's got to be in the running for the worst one. By the way, when this is all done, when I've tried all these, I'm going to put them in order from worst to best. Why not? Right? Feels like a fun thing to do right now. But that's not good. Okay. Let's check out. I need some water after that, guys. Nate's taking bets on me eating Popeyes beginning of the stream. It's not going to happen. So this is the Oregon pick. Now this is in fact the highest proof one yet. This breaks into the 130 proof, so 65.3% alcohol. This is 11 years and 10 months old, from Oregon. This is barrel U. So let's go ahead and give it a nosing. So Akeem has opened up the Vine and Table 4 Roses OESV 10 years, 10 months, 54.7% ABV. So Akeem is opening a great bottle that I've thought about pulling out for this because it's the same warehouse as this lineup, the Warehouse P. It's on the south side, just like this warehouse. It's 37 as the Rick instead of 27, so it's just 10 Ricks away from this one. And it's the first floor. This is the most important difference. It's the first floor instead of the 6th floor. So that should have a meaningful difference. I look forward to hearing Akeem's thoughts. But it's 10 years and 10 months. Now, all the ones in front of me are 11 years. I think the youngest one is 11 years and 5 months, but the oldest one is 11 years and 11 months. So there's a 6-month variance in this lineup. You go 6 months the other way, you get to that vine and table pick. Or damn close. Bourbon Baller is right. I will not be eating Subway.
Oh, never.
Nate says, pull out that vine and table and the Bevmo I gave you. I might have to, Nate. I might have to. But, you know, I'm trying to buy a house. So this is my dilemma. I'm trying to buy a house, and I really feel like some of these bottles I need to sell. And Four Roses is a high profit margin, and I like it fine, but it's just it's hard to not move those bottles when I'm looking at it going, I could turn a profit and put this straight towards my down payment. So I'm torn, Nate. Sell me on it, buddy. Joe says, Nate, I bet he does if you send it there with Uber Eats. Yeah, if you send me Popeye's Uber Eats, I'll probably fucking eat it.
I live here too.
Yolanda says, don't forget she lives here too. So 2 meals with Uber Eats, please. Nate says, Nate, you underestimate capitalism, my friend. Okay, so let's get serious. Let's get back to this. We're so close, guys. We're so close to the end of this road. And then we can have some jollies. But I got to get my serious face back on. Hold on. Okay.
You
Now.
have a serious face?
Okay. Now, I really like the nose on this. Light caramel. Very sweet. Very sharp and citrusy. It stings my nostrils. Bourbon Baller says selling bottles is a big no-no. I mean, I agree with you in many respects. I think there's a lot of people out there that are just buying bottles to do quick flips and try to hustle, but every major collector that I know has sold significant bottles, usually to try to fund some sort of project, a remodel, an expense they need to move. I just don't know people that are serious in the bourbon world that aren't selling bottles on secondary markets with the intent of doing something else with the money. Not trying to turn a profit, but just trying to live their lives. So, you know, I understand where you're coming from, Bourbon Baller, and I kind of feel the same way, but I'm also looking at my own finances and going, I've basically stopped buying whiskey. I haven't bought a bottle of whiskey in several weeks. And it's because I'm trying to find ways to make this dream happen of getting a house. Nate said you can mow. Nate says you have to mow a yard at a home. You don't have to mow whiskey. Boom, open the bottle. A lot of interesting stuff in the chat right now. That does sound good, Akeem. Justin says, funky Buddha Hefe beer. I mean, I would love to not sell any of the bottles that I'm thinking about selling, Bourbon Baller. I would love to not have to sell them, but I've got to... Sometimes you got to sell your assets. So people get sweet cars, and sometimes they don't want to sell them, but sometimes they have to. That's how it is. That's how life goes. Also, I feel like Bourbon Baller has more than 287 bottles. I don't know why. I just feel like that's a low number. Because, I mean, I don't have 287, but I'm in the twos. And I know Bourbon Baller's got more kick-ass bottles. Maybe you're just buying hitters, but I'm skeptical of that number, Bourbon Baller. I don't want to live in Westfield, Akeem. That's no. We don't want an hour commute. Is what Yolanda said from the other room. Ben said you got to do what you got to do. True that. All right, come on now. I got to give some notes on this. I'm getting distracted. We can chat, Akeem. I like Akeem's got a good sales pitch. I'll give him that.
About Westfield?
No, about buying bottles. He said, "Don't even lie. You love the Westfield."
No. We don't have kids, Akeem. We don't have to go to school.
This is very citrusy, very cinnamon apple-y, very like apple pie, and then you threw the crust out the window and you just had the apple filling left. And then you took a lemon and you squeezed the lemon all over with both hands like this, like an animal. And you have the juice dripping down your wrists and the meat of the lemon squishing between your fingers. You can feel it. And the seeds popping out. You can feel it!
You're such a weirdo.
Oh, yeah. Yolanda is making her own clothes in the other room, so, you know, we're the perfect couple of weirdos. Now it's smelling like dry pine. So after you've had your little lemon massacre, you go out into the pines and enjoy them. Ben Z, all 4 roses tonight, correct? Oh, Ben Z, we've got a great little lineup here. Not only are they all 4 roses, but they are all from Warehouse P on the south side, the 27th Rick, and the 6th tier of the Rick. I'm literally drinking 10 different whiskeys from the same lineup in one tier on one Rick of a warehouse. It's a fun thing to do. Never thought I'd have the chance. I'm surprised how much variation there is, even though it's still kind of within the 5% range. But yeah, this Oregon one really just tells a story for me of a lemon murder and then an eerie burial among the pines. Let's go ahead and taste it. Interesting. That's an interesting one, guys. That one, super sweet and citrusy up front. And it never really stopped being sweet. Like, Whiskey Cross, yeah, I have been getting some lemon notes from this tier. You know, I think some of that sharpness, the alcohol sharpness is fun because sometimes it's showing up like lemon, sometimes it's showing up like pepper, sometimes it's showing up like hot pepper, like capsaicin, and sometimes it just feels like alcohol burn attached to a fruit-forward, almost like a light whiskey. So the variation among what is a very, very close in location series of barrels is really interesting. It's been a lot of fun. This Oregon one, I really like that first taste. Let's try it again. Now again, this one starts with oak, which is usually a good sign for me. Very quickly moves into like clementine and honey. No, not honey. Clementine and corn syrup. Then immediately into a black walnut, a slight bitterness, which kind of lingers for a while. The bitterness does linger for a while. Yeah, next time Nate's in town, I can introduce him to Akeem, and Tab25, and everyone else in the chat that's in the Indy area. Just make a big party. This is a cool flight, Benzie. You're totally right about that. I'm very thankful. Again, big shout out to Victor for providing me with this flight. It's a very generous fella. Been a good guy. He's been in the whiskey scene for a long time, best I can tell. And there's an unfortunate trend in the whiskey world to be very, how do I put this? in-group versus out-group. There's a very us versus them mentality, and people don't want to talk about whiskey. They don't want to share their whiskey. They want to keep people out. I understand why you want to do that. I understand why you're trying to preserve your hobby. I get it. But I also think that, your average consumer, your average hobbyist, I'll say that, your average aficionado can distinguish between somebody that's coming into the hobby for the wrong reason and somebody that's coming in because they love whiskey and they want to drink it and they want to talk about it. And Victor is willing to do that with people who might not otherwise get a chance to do stuff like this. There's no way in hell I could have organized something like this without him. So huge shout out to Victor. Thank you so much, sir. I'm going to post after this shouting out his business. He actually runs a place that has coffee and treats, desserts, things like that. But for some reason right now the name is escaping me. I want to say it's Confectionaires, but my phone is right here, so I can look it up. Because I feel stupid not remembering the name of the business that he runs, because I know that it's a really good one. Actually, Yolanda and I have gotten cakes from them in the past. Yes, Confectionaires, them. That place. Confectionaires Cupcake and Sweets. It's in Zionsville. I believe Victor is the HBIC over there. Oh, man. His business is in Zionsville. What else we got? The chat's blowing up. I like seeing this. Akeem says, come drink with me, Nate. There's a scotch in this basement you'd enjoy. That's definitely true. Nate definitely needs to bring about 12 bottles to share with me and Akeem. And I do have Akeem's number. It would be fun and dangerous. Tab says, as long as it's not in Hamilton County. It is very good for working on dialing in your palate, Ben Z. That's definitely true. Finding this minutia and this nuance is really fun, and it's also a really good way to understand not just the variance from barrel to barrel, but also the consistent characteristics. I'm spending time talking about the 5% differences, but there's also a significant part of me that's sort of logging for future memory the consistencies between all these pours from the same warehouse, the same location, the same rick. You learn something about this. Jack said you should definitely keep posting about your live streams in the Bourbon group so we all know. I mean, maybe I will, Jack. I always feel weird about doing that. Just because I know it's kind of spammy, and I do this once a week. Every Thursday. Yeah, Akeem, you definitely need to try his products. I'll make that connection, actually, Akeem. He's a good person to know. He makes amazing stuff. He's a very, very cool guy. Good guy to know. Ben Z says, next time I'm at my brother-in-law's in Franklin, I'll try to hit him up. It's a good plan. Let me know if you're in Franklin. We'll grab a pour or something, man. I'm fully vaccinated by the end of the month. I'm excited about it. That's true. Jack, you make a good point. I'm not selling anything. I'm just selling my goofy-ass self. That's all I'm selling. I guess I'm also selling glassware. You can always buy this from me. thedrinkpro.com. But I'm not really selling that much except for my goofy face. All right, this Oregon pour. One more sip of it. Yeah. Yeah, that one's... it was oakier than I first gave it credit for as well. Ooh, it's got the nice Kentucky hug. Yeah, everyone should join my Patreon. For real, I'm really surprised more people haven't joined the Patreon, because $3 a month is not very much money, and the amount of content I put up there is significant. I mean, it's a video a week, unedited. There's opportunities to win things at different higher tiers. At the very least, it's it's cheaper than buying me a drink once a month. A lot cheaper, considering what I drank. It's like buying me a drink once a year, and you get 52... There's at least 50 videos up there right now, between live streams and normal videos. And you know, every week now I'm doing unedited videos. Since I quit doing 2 videos a week, I'm doing 1 video a week now. Shameless self-promotion. Boop! But, you know, it's, I mean, you know, Nate and Trevor both my wrenches are members. Nate makes a good point that I think the $12 level is actually the best value because you get samples, you get some really cool stuff. But any level helps me a bunch. It really does. I appreciate everybody who helps me out. And I appreciate everybody that gives me samples. I appreciate all y'all. You're the reason I can do this. All right, enough being sappy. Let's go to this last pour. This is the Lincoln Road. It's the oldest, 11 years, 11 months. It's the highest proof, 131.8, and it is V in the line. So it's a long time. A long time? Does that make any sense? No. It is far away from the edge. I'm not even sure if that's true. It's a letter, which is a number, which is where it is in the rack. That really made you want to laugh, but you guys know what I mean. That's not nonsense. It actually means something. It's a letter, which means it's a number in the rack. Okay, let's go ahead and smell it. Ooh, this might be the best one. I love that shit. I love finishing on a high note. Okay. Oh, this smells so good. Oh, hold on. I gotta lean on something. Guys, we're on something now. This thing, it smells like caramel corn and chocolate covered strawberries and raspberries and cream and apple pie with strawberry ice cream on it. Oh, and like custard. Holy shit. Oh man, I need a toweling off after this one. Holy crap. I love making Yolanda go ugh from the other room.
How are you so disgusting?
Joe Brown, come on, $25 is the best level. Shout out Joe Brown. Appreciate the support, my dude. Yeah, we got Joe and Trev. They're up there at $25 and $50 respectively. That's, your generosity is more appreciated than I can express, and I express it a lot, and it's still more than that. So, cheers to you guys. Actually, you know what? I'll go ahead and tell you that some of those higher levels have some really cool things coming in the future. I don't know if you guys like hand lasered coasters, but Benzie said your leg is going to start shaking. It might already be. It's off camera, you know. Bourbon Baller says you're making Four Roses sound drinkable. Man, this one is. I'm telling you. Nate said, I never know if it smells good or if Kyle is just 10 pours deep and shit in a glass would smell good to him. Well, you saw how uninterested I was in the smell of the 9th pour. Oh! It's fine. Ben says you're going to make me go buy a bottle of damn Four Roses. Whoa. I mean, if you can buy a single barrel strength, you should. You should go buy it right now. I'm not the big Four Roses fanboy. I'm really not. But the barrel strength single barrel is good stuff. All right, I've given you tons of notes on this. I will say the more I smell it, the oakier it gets. I'm starting to lose some of that fruitiness and some of that creaminess, but boy, it hit really good right off the bat, so I'm excited about this one. But that's something that comes when you let it sit there and settle. And when I've been stirring it like I do, I get a lot more oakiness. It's still very sweet, but I get this sort of distinct bitterness and this oakiness that makes me a little concerned about the taste. So let's give it a taste. Cheers. You can really taste the proof on it. Yeah, God, that's disappointing. It smelled so good. Ugh. But it's kind of just like hot oak water. Taste it again. Give it another shot. Yeah, that's just not complex. Bourbon Baller, I was offered a store pick up from them, sampled 7 different, and they were bad. Another pissed off distillery. I mean, I understand that, but I mean, if you don't like what they're sending you, don't buy it. I think that's, I applaud your integrity, because a lot of stores just know it'll sell because it fucking will, and don't care if it's good or bad. So I applaud your integrity, Bourbon Baller, in not buying the Four Roses barrel pick just because it will sell. Because you got to go with what you like. Because people will learn. And this is the thing with stores in particular. With stores, I know which stores care about their store picks. I know which ones will get good picks and which ones will not. And so if you built that reputation of like, I'm going to get you store picks that I like, that are good, and you, even if it's not Four Roses, good on you, sir. Good on you. Ben Z said he was going to go get an Ardbeg OG tomorrow, but maybe Four Roses will change his mind. I mean, if you can find a barrel strength, it might. Yeah, that's just not a... It's sad. That's not a good way to end it. Not a good way to end it, guys. But, it's fine. I mean, it's okay. Jack says, which ones get good store picks and which ones don't? Send me a PM, Jack. I'm not going to put any stores on blast today. Send me a PM and I'll tell you in Indianapolis. Which is where I know. I don't know about other places, but I know Indy. And I know who gives a shit and who doesn't. You know, I'm going to try to put these in order. Worst to first. A couple of these are really low, so I'm going to have to add just a touch more so I can get a good sense of them. But it's going to be hard. I think the Mahan is pretty low. Yeah, that's garbage. I'm just going to go ahead and put that one at the bottom. Ugh, not good. Okay. Where did that Oregon one fit in? I feel like the Oregon one fit somewhere near there. The Oregon's better. It's still probably near the bottom. Let's check the Lincoln Road, which is the very last one I tried. Okay. The Lincoln Road is just above the Mahan. That's fair. Take a drink of water. Let's try the Specs again. I wasn't particularly high on the Specs first time through. That's better. That's better than the Lincoln Road. How does that compare though to? Let's compare that to Liquor Barn. Liquor Barn, I feel like I didn't care for particularly. Liquor Barn is better than the Specs. Okay. What do you think? Total Wine? Let's try that Total Wine. The Total Wine, I think, is actually between the Liquor Barn and the Specs. Hard to be sure. Okay. Let's try number 1, the Bourbon Crusaders. It's been a minute since I visited this one. How does this compare to the Liquor Barn pick? I like that. I like that a lot. Bourbon Crusaders is going to stay above the Liquor Barn pick. What about Dorignacs? Woo! Woo! It's got a lot of heat. That one's a little chaotic. That's definitely below the Liquor Barn pick. Let me see if that's above the total wine. It might be below the total wine. Yeah, that's below. Oh, that's below the total wine. Let's see if it's below the specs. No, not below the specs. Okay. I basically got 3 left. Let's go with the Grapevine. Let's see where the Grapevine goes. I like that. Where's this? How's that fit with Liquor Barn? Uh-oh. Where's the total wine in all this? Huh. I remember not particularly liking the Grapevine, but seems to have opened up really nicely. Maybe I'm just misremembering. No. When I poured more in, you can't judge these on little nips. You have to judge them on full tastes. The total wine, I feel like I'm giving a short shrift to. Let me try that again. Yeah, the total wine is immediately better than the Grapevine. Let me try the Liquor Barn again. Yeah, total wine's better than that. All right, I got 2 left to place. I got the Cheers and the Bourbon Crusaders. Oh, this is a lot of whiskey, folks. A lot of whiskey. All right, cheers. Not just cheers, but cheers. Ooh. Oh, man, shit, that's above the total wine for sure. Yeah, definitely. All right, where does Bourbon Crusaders fit in all this? Well, my bottle is really low, so... Oh. I went down the wrong pipe. Oh, I think I forgot how to swallow whiskey. Woo. All right, let's try that again with less choking. Well, shit. Where does that go? I feel like that goes pretty high up. All right. Got my final lineup. I'm going to go from worst to best. Worst one was the Mahan, 11 years, 11 months, 129.2. Second worst was Lincoln Road, 11 years, 11 months, 131.8. Third worst was the Specs, 11 years, 5 months, which proves it wasn't based on the age because This is the youngest one in the lineup, 125.2, also one of the lowest proof. Wait a minute. Where did this Oregon one go? I know where that one went. Oh, yeah. Okay. Next was the Dorignacs, 11 years, 7 months, 126.2. Then Grapevine, 11 years, 8 months, 128.0. Then Bourbon Crusaders, 11 years, 7 months, 126.6. Excuse me. Then Liquor Barn, 11 years, 9 months, 129.0. Total Wine, 11 years, 11 months, 128.8. That was number 3, was the Total Wine. 4 was the Liquor Barn. Number 2 was Cheers, 11 years, 9 months, 127.6. The number 1 pick of all the ones I tried was the Oregon pick, actually. Ironically, that was the one that I about fell off of my feet. I about fell over with. 11 years, 10 months, 130.6. So I will give you a final order in based just on the barrel letters, because everything else about these is the same. Lowest to highest. M, V, C, D, E, A, G, F, K, U. So A was right in the middle. Several of those sister barrels are kind of towards the back end. The E, the D, the C. And the top was a little bit varied. I had the F and the G were above the A, and then K and the U. So hopefully that was interesting, at least, if it wasn't informational. Hard to say. But I'm going to go ahead and move all of this nonsense, and maybe we can try something here. Because Nate wanted me to break out his sample, and I kind of want to. Now, I had debated about opening a couple of bottles, but I think I'm going to wait on that. Just because it's hard for me to make that move. You know what? Let's do it. What the hell? So, you've just watched me try You've just watched me try 10 different barrels, pours, from the PS27 Floor 6. This bottle is 10 years and 7 months old, so it's about, 7 to 15 months younger than the bottles I've tasted. But this is also PS. So same warehouse, same location in the warehouse. This is Rick 37, so 10 Ricks away. And this is from the first tier. Watching me open it. Ben's looking at Total Wine tomorrow. It's a good idea, my man. Why is this being so difficult? That's fine. I can open it. So after this ordeal, pour out a little bit of this one. I'm also going to pour out a little bit of this one. Now, this is the Bourbon World pick, and it is, both of these bottles are from Warehouse PS, from Rick 37, and from the first tier. This is D, and this is P. So much like the lineup that I just did, these are sister barrels, very close, very near each other, very similar age. This one's 10 years, 10 months. This was 10 years, 7 months. So very much like the lineup I just did. The only difference is those were tier 6s. These are tier 1s. They also are different because they're 10 Ricks apart, but you get the idea. Not as good as the pop. This is also the one I think Akeem has. Which he said the longer he sips it, the more he likes it. Alright, so we'll jump in here on the Cameron first. Wow, it's a lot nuttier. That's really interesting because these are, you know, they're all the OESVs. The only real difference here is it's a different Rick by 10. But it's, more importantly, to my mind, Tier 1 versus Tier 6. Hab says there goes some down payment money. This is definitely a lot creamier. Way creamier. Like I mentioned, like a light strawberries and cream that was kind of overpowered by some of the oakiness. This is the proper strawberries and cream. Ooh, this is beautifully creamy and sweet and fruity. Those notes that they put on these little tabs here, I feel like they typically speak more to the lower warehouse ones because OESV on this recipe note tab thing here, this says OESV, delicate fruit, fresh and creamy. I mean, that's exactly how I would describe this. You get that slight eucalyptus, which is the freshness. Definitely get this nice, delicate strawberry, this light berry fruit, and super creamy. You know, I'm really surprised that it's not more different. It still has that sort of oaky finish, that slightly tannic finish. It's definitely lighter and easier to drink. It's certainly sweeter on the front. But the biggest difference for me is it's creamier. Trevor would like this bottle. I'm just going to tell you that right now, Trev. Reach out to me, Trevor. I think he's asleep. Trevor's sleeping, but when Trevor wakes up, you reach out to me about this bottle because this is right in your wheelhouse. Let's try this Bourbon World bottle. I think this is the bottle that Akeem has been drinking. Ooh. Now compared to, now again, this is the same kind of thing. These are in the same rick, same floor, different barrels. These two bottles compare the same way those 10 samples compared. But the nose on those Four Roses from the Cameron pick, which is it's barrel D. Wow, it's very different from the Bourbon World. The Bourbon World is much more sugar and berries. It's got like there was a candy, the berries and cream. God, I can't remember who made that candy, but the berries and cream candy. Like that's what I smell in the Bourbon World nose. Whereas this Cameron, it smells a lot more like the Tier 6s, frankly. So let's taste this Bourbon World. Ooh. Definitely has that oakiness. That oakiness doesn't leave, which surprises me a little bit. I expect it to be less oaky. But it is so much sweeter and creamier. Like, essentially the difference between the 27 and the 37 and the difference between floor 6 and floor 1. These bottles I just opened are way sweeter and more creamy. They're not as rich and broad in their flavor. But that's not. I'm not saying that as a criticism because I think that the the big broad flavors from these samples can actually be kind of off-putting depending on who you talk to. They are hard to deal with. They are big, bold, difficult samples. This bourbon will actually, Akeem left some great notes. I think it was Akeem that left some great. Yeah. I see you, Nate. I'm going to fucking chill out. I think Akeem left some great notes up here regarding the latest V&T, the Bourbon World pick. Yeah, he said, hits first with a nice rounded profile with a good oak presence, fairly soft. Apples show up, bit of citrus. It's got caramel apple notes too. Is nice. I don't get the citrus, but I think it's because there was so much citrus on the 27 sixes. Those are very citrus forward. So the citrus on this seems very slight to me. I get a lot more creaminess. I do get the oak presence. It is soft. There is some apple. I feel like the apple, the caramel, and the soft creaminess are very characteristics of OESV, kind of wherever they're at. But the creaminess shows up more. And for me, the caramel shows up more on the floor 1s here, the 37 floor 1 than the 27 floor 6s, where you get a lot more of that oak, and the softness becomes a little bit more citric. Yeah, but it's a pretty good pour. Now, finally, to satiate Nate, I'm going to pour out the middle ground. I am out of water. That's not good. Let me rinse this glass real quick. Okay, so now I've tried the tier 1s, I've tried the tier 5s, and we got a lovely middle ground. Now, you know, the big sample lineup was all 27 tier 6. It was PS-27-6, and then all of the different letters. The two bottles, boop, boop. They were both PS 37, 1, and then a letter. Now, the one I've got right here, this is a sample from Nate Cooper. Shout out Nate. He's been asking for it all night. This is PS also, same warehouse, same location. Dash 37, same as both of these bottles. But it is the 3rd floor, and it is bottle I. Now, it is 10 years and 1 month old, which means it's going to be the youngest Four Roses I have tried tonight. It's 59.3% alcohol. I got it all over myself. Okay. Ooh, that is very apple-y. Speaking of apples, I see Akeem's talking about apples in the chat. This thing is caramel apple. Wow. Of all the pours I've had tonight, this might be the most apple-y. Ugh, I hate it when I pour whiskey into my mustache. God damn it. Ugh. Ah! Yep. Citrus and apple. It's funny because, you know, honestly, the variation between the different barrels at the 6th tier and the barrels of the first tier and the barrels of the third tier, they're pretty fucking similar, guys. They're pretty fucking close. Like, as much as people want to make a big deal about proof and they want to make a big deal about the tiers, the barrel-to-barrel variance is bigger. It makes a bigger difference than the difference between the first tier and the third tier and the sixth tier. It makes a bigger difference. Like, I was not expecting that at all, but I'm getting way more variation barrel-to-barrel than I am from just, like, mixing tiers. Like, yeah, this is the most, like, apple, like, caramel apple to date, but it still has the oak. It still has the caramel, obviously, and the apple, obviously. It still has that very slight bitterness and that slight nuttiness. I mean, I think this is the sweetest one of the bunch. I think Joe said trim it to my mustache. I will, probably. This is pretty unruly and hard to deal with, and so I'm kind of sick of it. But I also haven't been training it, so like I feel like what I need to do is give it like 2 weeks where every single day of the week I wax it and just, I don't care if I'm not going anywhere. I'm just going to wax it to get it trained, and then after 2 weeks, see what it's doing. And if it needs trimmed, I'll trim it. If not, then not. Ben Z says, I believe that, or else the whole barrel pick industry would be kind of a crock. It is. Yeah. Yes, it is. Thank you, Ben Z. The whole barrel pick industry is just built around, like, what do you like? Here's a bunch of different ones. Find the one you like. I think people assume that there's an objective form. There's a teleological ideal form of whiskey and the ideal good. What is the best whiskey? With a capital B. No, fuck off. That's not real. That's not a thing. People like different things in whiskey. They want different things from their whiskey. And if your favorite whiskey in the entire world's $50, drink it, enjoy it. If your favorite whiskey is in the entire world is $10,000 and you can afford it, drink it and enjoy it. I am so over the idea. That there is like a penultimate or ultimate or whatever. Like there's this idealized whiskey. It's just, it doesn't exist. When I found out the story behind these 27s, these PA 27s and PS 27s, excuse me, the PS 27s, and everybody was so hyped up about the PS 26s and those dumps the best, I was like, man, that sounds like a crock of shit. Now, I've never had the PS 26s. I've never sat down and compared, 10 different OESVs that are all from the same warehouse, that are from different ricks, or even different, I haven't not done significant research on the OESV mash bill. So maybe like if you've tried 20 different warehouses and 20 different ricks of the OESV mash bill, then like the PS26 is really just like hitting right. But I don't know. I feel like so much of this is flavor dependent that it just, it comes down to hype. Like somebody hyped up the PS26s, some whiskey tuber or blogger or some kind of influencer hyped up the PS26s, and everybody went batshit crazy for them, and they all bought them up. That's why the Friday the 13th barrels are fucking $1,100. And it has nothing to do with the quality of the whiskey and everything to do with like the belief that it's a better quality. Tab 25. Why would you drink a whiskey that is less than $10,000? That's just slumming. I mean, there's like people value the fact that a whiskey is expensive sometimes. Now with that, I'm going to try this whiskey that Nate so desperately wanted me to try for the last 2 hours and 3 minutes and 48 seconds. If you gave me these 13 whiskeys in front of me blind, and you said, find the ones that are from different tiers. You gotta find, there are 2 in here from tier 1. There's 1 in here from tier 3. And the rest are from tier 6. They're all warehouse PS. And 10 out of the 13 are the 27, and the other 3 are the 37. Rick, I would have a fucking hard time finding this 3. The ones I could find because they're lighter. I would just pick the 2 lightest ones and assume they were from 1. The ones that are the most gentle on the palate. And that is really a proof point determination. It's the fact that lower proof whiskeys are less harsh on the palate just because there's less alcohol. So that's the easy fix. But this 3, this is 59.3%. So, you know, proof-wise, what does that make it? 118.6? It's still a couple of percent away from all these tier 6s, but on the palate, it's so similar. I mean, I like it fine. It's just less sharp. It's less strong and sharp and pungent. And to me, like, the differences are so small. Like, when I hear people are paying, I mean, forget about the $1,100 Friday the 13th barrel. When I hear that people are paying like $300 or $400 for a Four Roses bourbon that's at a 6-tier OESO, OBSO, whatever, and I've had 6-tier OBSO, OESOs, and I've had 3rd-tier and 1st-tier OBSOs and OESOs, and I'm just like, I don't get it. Why? I don't understand why people believe that these higher tiers are better. They're higher proof, but I'm just not that impressed with proof. Like, proof is not the end-all, be-all measure of quality. Now, I think the best pour I've had tonight, I would say the best 4 or 5 pours I had tonight were probably, I don't know. At least the best 3 pours I had tonight were definitely from this PS27 series. Now, but I've tried 10 of them. And some of them were garbage. Some of those PS27 pours were worse than this Series 37 Floor 1 and these Series 37 Floor 3. But that's because it is a barrel-to-barrel process. These are single barrels, and sometimes the single barrels are garbage, and sometimes the people picking them don't know what they're doing. You know, I kind of assumed I wouldn't have much of a lesson from this. I kind of assumed I wouldn't be able to pick out the differences, and it would just kind of be a shit show of a video. But really, like, what I have pulled out from this is that what I look for, at the very least, on a whiskey is a complex palate that is well balanced and that presents flavors I typically like. And I think what I've seen is that can come at any proof point. Now, if I have to pick a proof point and it does all of those other things, I pick a higher proof point. So, you know, all things being equal, I would go with the tier 6 over the tier 1. But the problem is, you know, we tried 10 tier 6s and probably half of them are worse than some of these tier 1s and tier 3s that I tried here at the end of the process. So you gotta think tier isn't everything. It really isn't. This is one of the reasons that I really value being able to taste the single barrels that are being privately selected or that are store picks from wherever you pick up your single barrels. Being able to taste them is important because if you're looking for a specific profile, you need to be able to find out if that whiskey has that profile. I would feel pretty unhappy, honestly. Honestly, if I paid retail for 3 or 4 of these PS27s, I wouldn't be happy about it. 3 or 4 of them, I'd just be like, I wish I hadn't paid $75 for them. And these are probably $100, $150, $200 bottles. I mean, Victor, I don't know what he paid to put together this crazy set. And I will say this as many times as I can. I'm incredibly thankful and appreciative that Victor was willing to give me these samples. Thank you so much, my friend. But if I had paid retail for 2 or 3 of these samples, these bottles, I wouldn't have been happy about it. Now, if I had paid retail for the top 3 or 4, I'd been like, holy shit, I got a hell of a value. But this all goes back to the idea that it depends on the specific barrel. I mean, these are on paper as close as you can get. You can't get closer than this. They were next to each other in the fucking warehouse. But I look at my list here, you know, and third place was F. Third place was F, and, you know, third from the bottom was C. They were 2 barrels apart. C, D, E, F. They were here. And one of them I really liked, and one of them I did not like. That C barrel I would put below the sample I got from Nate. So, what I'm saying is, trust your palate more than anything else. Don't trust price. Don't trust hype. Don't trust rumor. Trust your palate. And if you can't taste something, make sure you take that into consideration when you're buying it, because it's very hard to purchase something blind and feel like you've really made a good decision, no matter what the taste is. That is a hard sell for yourself. I've had to quit buying things like that. I won't buy them if I can't taste them. I just won't do it anymore. And I've probably missed out on some really cool stuff because of that. Now, because if you're in the Patreon, I will, you know, offer those kind of things up to people. Like if you're in the Patreon and you're at the $50 level, I will send you messages and say, hey, here's this bottle I found. I'm not going to buy it. Do you want it? You might be able to get it. Go join. Go fucking join. But what I'm saying is there is a lot of opportunity out there for variation. And a lot of people will try to sell you on one variation or the other for various different reasons. And don't let them. Find what you like. Drink it. Enjoy it. Jack's sipping on the FAE01 now. How is that, Jack? I've heard good things about it. Ben said, I'm convinced that someone like me with a less trained palate couldn't do it. I'm sure you could. The more expensive, the better, obviously. Yeah, right. Nate said, I think the GTS story is one where people focus on proof way too much. People shit on the 2019 to the little proof, even though it's an amazing whiskey. I couldn't agree more, Nate. I 100% agree with you. Bourbon Baller said, I'm currently looking at the limited Rabbit Hole releases, LOL. Bourbon Baller, I have been seriously trying to get my hands on the Rabbit Hole releases, the limited releases. I couldn't get them from Rabbit Hole. They wouldn't fuck with me because I'm not big enough for them. But I would love to do a video on those. Tab 25 wants me to quit lecturing. I'll lecture when I want to lecture, motherfucker. This is my channel. Oh, man. We got to get together again soon, brother. I miss you. Ben Z says, cost is weird because I do have some great expensive whiskey like Bardstown and an Old Carter's, but I also bought a bottle of JW Dan for $15 and I like it a lot. Yeah, man, like, I really like Mellow Corn. I really like Evan Williams White Label Bottled and Bond. I really like a couple of different budget whiskeys. Like, you know, I'll tell you what, the one that got me was I drank some, this was on a Patreon exclusive video, actually, last one of the recent live streams I did. I was drinking Wild Turkey 101. I was going, man, this is a $20-something bottle, like $22 around here. This is fucking good. This is like, do I think that my $60 whiskeys are 2.5 times as good as this? No, they're fucking not. That's always the thing, right? Is like, you got to think about your own price curve, because if you go strictly on, is it twice as good? Is it 3 times as good? It never is going to be. It's just not. Your best value in whiskey with specific pours is going to be either pretty close to budget, under 25. I mean, I would just say under 25 for bourbon. And then, you know, you can get some really spectacular stuff under like 60. So, like, those to me are the 2 levels where you're really going to find gold with bourbon. Now, Scotch is more difficult for sure. But nonetheless, like, when you're talking about getting expensive bourbons or rare bourbons, you can't think about the cost considerations that way. Nate said their bespoke gin is really good. I assume, Nate, you're talking about the gin from Rabbit Hole, because the Rabbit Hole gin that Yolanda and I tried was fan-damn-tastic. And Ben, you're right, Turkey 101 is in fact a hitter. You guys want to combine everything on this table and turn it into one? Let me show you first off so y'all can see. This is what I've been looking at. These are all these different pours. Hooray! Let's combine them, shall we? It's one. I don't have a lot of these. A lot of these are just down to the nubbins, but nonetheless, I will combine them all. And be pretty careless about the whole process of it, too. That one was Nate's pour. Almost knocked over a glass that time. I'm sure this is going to be just the best one of the night, obviously. Bourbon Baller says, Derringer is my favorite Rabbit Hole. Derringer is really solid. I really want to try some of those limited releases, though, because some of those limited releases I've heard really good reviews from, and given what they can do with their ryes, I believe that they would be really good. I just haven't had a chance to taste them yet. All right. So this glass contains every whiskey that I've tried. Yeah, Ben says, what if this is the greatest blend ever? Then we're all in trouble because I cannot replicate this. I'm going to have to call Victor and say, Victor, I need your help. We have discovered gold. So don't hold your breath, Ben. But it does look very nice, doesn't it? Oh, I just fucking poured that right on the table. Shit. Okay. I'm gonna stir it a little bit. Gotta get those all those flavors mixed in. The 13 different flavors, I gotta get them mixed together. I don't know why this won't focus on anything but my face. Smells like Four Roses. Oh, now I'm pouring it all over myself. God damn. I'm a mess, guys. I'm a mess. Look at this. Look at that. Right there. Look at that bullshit. Akeem says, fuck your table. Fuck my shirt, apparently, too. Look at that. I don't even have water in here to dab on it. Let me just... I solved it. You want me to take my shirt off?
No, give me your water so I can refill it.
I'll take my shirt off for you, baby.
No, thank you.
I know you like it.
I'm not drunk enough for that.
I'll button it back up. We'll get her a couple of drinks later. Okay. So, the mystery blend, the master blend, whatever you want to call it. It honestly smells really good. It definitely smells better than some of those single barrels on their own. It's sweet, tons of caramel, lots of apple. Well, I knew that was coming. Oh, I knew a sneeze was on the way. Yeah, but I mean, the predominant notes on this is caramel apple. Uncle. Very oaky. I mean, it's a solid whiskey. I like where it's coming from. But on the whole, it's not particularly interesting. One of the things that can happen when you blend whiskeys is there can be sort of a muting of all the notes and you just get a very generic whiskey. That's kind of what has happened here, unfortunately. But it's not bad. It's just dull. Oh, all right, guys. I'm coming up on 2 hours and 20 minutes. I'm spent. Thank you all so much for being here. Bourbon Baller, so you drinking GTS because I know Four Roses doesn't taste that fucking good. I wish. I wish I had some GTS, but I'm out. But I think I'm going to call it a night. Thank you all so much for being here. Thank you for drinking along with me. Please consider joining the Patreon. Please consider it because $3 a month is the minimum payment, and it helps me out so much. It makes such a difference in my life, and it's easy for you guys to do, and you get plenty of bonus content. It is not a donation. You are purchasing a bunch of extra content, a ton of live streams, a ton of videos already up there right now. Go check them out. $3 a month. It's worth it, guys. It's worth it. I'm going to go drink some water and probably eat a fajita just to get my stomach full after all this whiskey. Thank you guys again for watching. I appreciate you. Please check out the video that's coming tomorrow. It's going to be an unedited video specifically for my patrons. Check out the video on Monday. It's going to be an Eagle Rare review, including some really fun local store picks. Grape Kool-Aid is a hot topic that I'm going to be reviewing. Please check out my stream next Thursday that has all 10 recipes of Four Roses, but I still need the OESV. If you have the OESV, please reach out to me. If you don't have it, I think I'm saying that wrong. I've been saying OESV because that's what I've been drinking all day. OESF. Sorry. The OESF is the one I don't have. If you have the OESF, please reach out to me. We can make that happen. I'm glad I realized I was fucking up there at the end, but OESF is the only of the 10 Four Roses recipes I don't have. I'd love to get it from you. I'm going to have to really hunt it down here in the next week because next Thursday, that's going to be the live stream. All 10 Four Roses recipes. I hope you can join me then. Thank you guys so much for joining me. Please keep drinking like professionals. And have a good night. Cheers.